balanced view on politics in today's world. Based on facts, born of rationality, common sense, and logic. Providing context on today's events, this is American Perspective with Rick Thomas.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to American Perspective. I am your host, Rick. Here's prayers for the fact that we have a clean run tonight. I walked through and I did some testing, checked everything out, and I think I got it all back to what would be normal. So anyway, yeah. Oh, all right. Whew, what a mess. Now I'm being asked, just to give you a heads up, I've been asked to talk about this issue, apparently that has happened in New York. There was a squirrel and a raccoon that were both rescued, and apparently something happened to where the apartment was raided, where these two were living. The apartment was raided. The squirrel reportedly bit one of the people that went in to raid, and they ended up having to euthanize one or both of them. I don't know that much about it. I haven't been tracking it. I haven't been watching it. And while that may seem like it's a bit of a tragedy, to be honest with you, first of all, depending upon the laws in your state, you may or may not be able to keep those kinds of animals because of the fact that they are not your typical pets. They're not your typical dogs and cats. So you would need some things like an exotic, animal license or something along those lines, even though they were rescued. And I feel badly for them. Believe me, I don't like the idea of animals just being killed for no reason. I mean, I'm even talking like wild animals. All right. However, all of that being said, there are times where sometimes you have no other choice. And in this particular case, realistically, whenever you take a wild animal in and you teach it to not be, number one, not be afraid of humans, but also make it to where it is dependent on humans, you're basically resigning it or setting it up to where it is potentially going to die anyway if it ever gets released back out in the wild. So while I appreciate what these people did and that kind of thing, I'll be honest with you, that would not have been the path that I would have taken. It would have been, I would have maybe taken it to a specialized center that could have done something. Okay. But anyway, the whole point of something like that occurring is, unfortunately, sometimes humans tend to think that they can do things that they probably shouldn't. So just because you can doesn't mean you should. And so, I've had animals here. I mean, I live in a rural area, and we have animals all around up here. So, it's sad and it's frustrating. I get it. But yeah, it's just something that it's not something for the average person to do. It should be, so, they're cute, they're cuddly. I get it. I'm sorry. I'm not in the camp where, that should have been something that human should have done. So that's just my opinion. I feel bad for the animals. I do. But unfortunately it's in the hands of the New York law over there. So nothing much that we can go. And I know, Peanut apparently, I'm being told, had like 500,000 followers on Instagram. The human rescued him as an abandoned baby. Peanut was like 7.5 years old. I'm being told, okay, it's cute and cuddly. I get it. I understand. And maybe I sound a little callous in a way, but in my defense, my reality is that wild animals should be left wild. Domesticated animals, you know, are essentially, they should be domesticated and you know, generally stay domesticated. But anyway, yeah, that's pretty much my viewpoint on that. And like I said, I deal with a lot of wild animals here. I've got rabbits, wild rabbits that you know, are around the property, and I've because they're getting used to me, they will stay still, and I've actually even trained Angus not to chase them. And so, you know, again, wild animals should be left wild. Domesticated animals, they're a different story because we've ingrained thousands of years worth of stuff in them. But anyway, all right. Enough said on that. All right, let's go ahead and get this kicked off. Here. We will go ahead and have, I believe it's Ms. T of Texas on deck for the Pledge of Allegiance. So please, if you are of mine, stand, remove your hats, you know, put your hand over your heart, and place your hand over your hearts and follow along with Ms. T of Tex in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. And I thank you, Ms. T, for sending that in to us. Do me a favor, if you'd like to hear your rendition of the Pledge of Allegiance here on the program, all you have to do is record yourself doing the pledge or reciting the pledge. And then once you do, take that audio file, attach it to an email, and send it to fans, F-A-N-S, at AmericanPerspective.online. That's fans at AmericanPerspective.online. Okay, tonight's sponsor, headline sponsor, is the Institute on the Constitution. The Institute on the Constitution was established in 2004 as a 501c3 nonprofit with one singular mission, and that is to restore the constitutional republic through grassroots education. Side note, after Tuesday or Wednesday, we're probably going to need this training more than anything else. Just saying. Anyway, back to the spot. All courses and materials are developed using primary source documents and taught from the American view of law and government, as defined in the Declaration of Independence in the following 3 key points. 1, there is a God. 2, our rights come from him. And 3, the purpose of civil government is to secure and protect our God-given rights. The IOTC offers the opportunity to educate yourself on our most precious founding document, the Constitution of the United States. They also provide tools to educate your community and get involved with local government. Start by taking their free U.S. Constitution course and go from there. Use my affiliate link, iotc.americanperspective.online, to sign up, and while you are there, take a moment to look through their other course material and information. My affiliate link, once again, is iotc.americanperspective.online. I got lost here. Sorry. To get great content to learn about our historical founding and support the show in the process. That's iotc.americanperspective.online. Or if you just want to purchase this fabulous Saddleback leather-bound U.S. Constitution to support the show, go to constitution.americanperspective.online. Take a look at this thing. It's 1/8 of an inch of Saddleback leather wrapped around pages that are water and tear resistant. The internal binding is stitched. This isn't cheap glue here, folks. It's stitched all the way through the leather. They have a 100-year warranty against materials and workmanship defects. Anytime something goes wrong, you send it back to the manufacturer. They will either fix it or replace it for free. It is Buddy tested, Buddy approved, Billy tasted, Billy approved, and my youngest whiskey warrior has proven that the contents inside that are written inside will help you to get your civics badge in Scouts. They'll probably help you get your civics exam taken care of too. In fact, they will probably help you get your U.S. citizenship as well. Oh my gosh, how versatile is this thing? You have got to get it for Christmas and stick it in all of those stockings that are hanging over and above the fireplace, the mantle, whatever it is that you're hanging. And even if you hang them off your bed, you got to stick them in. I'm telling you, good little stocking stuffer for you. Go to constitution.americanperspective.online, get yours today, and also check out the rest of the Institute on the Constitution's offerings, and go and check them out today. I appreciate them for allowing me to be an affiliate. All right, last thing on the peanut story. I know you feel bad. I would feel bad too. I mean, that guy put 7.5 years of his life into an animal. It's no different. It's no different than a pet at times. But again, realistically, it's just one of those things that I probably would have, had I met the guy, I probably would have said, that probably wasn't exactly the best idea. So, anyway, all right. Oh yes, I can't forget. Tonight, of course, is Saturday, so tonight I'm drinking Easy Rider. Easy Rider is a Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey, aged 4 years. And thank goodness that Bonnie is not here, because she would be yelling and screaming at me on her television or any other thing. So, yeah. Anyway. And of course, I'm drinking it out of the We the People. I don't know if you could see that. It's kind of there. We the People Lucky Shot USA. It's got the bullet going into the side of the glass. LuckyShotUSA.com is the company that makes these. So you can go and check it out. But anyway, got it in there with my stones, like always. Like 3 Chevy says, it takes stones to drink with Rick. Hey, side note, and I can actually announce this now because I think we're going to put it up on our website tomorrow, because the guy that's supposed to be doing the website, aka me, hasn't got to it yet. But there is going to be an announcement. We are on TGRN, True Grit Roots Network. We will be opening up our rock channel, tentatively set for January. So all of you rock enthusiasts out there, you need to think, when we get closer, the announcement will be clear. We'll get everything set up. And yeah, it'll be absolutely fantastic. I think so. Oh, what the heck is happening? My background video is having all kinds of problems. That's not good. Anyway, so yes, all you rock enthusiasts, definitely check that out, and we'll get that going. All right. So let's move on. Let's get on to On This Day in American History. And on this day in American history, we read from, or for On This Day in American History, we read from the American Patriots Almanac, written by William J. Bennett and John T.E. Cribb. It is chock full of all kinds of information. So, G apparently says I'm about ready to get sucked into the multiverse. So here's the thing, guys. I honestly believe that has something to do with the video that I have, because it happened at about the same time last night. So I'm going to have to verify that the video doesn't have it as a part of it. But anyway, and possibly cut that part out. But anyway, so there you go. All right, tonight is November 2nd. We're going to talk about Give 'em Hell, Harry. Hardly anyone gave President Harry Truman a prayer of a chance to win in 1948's re-election bid against Thomas Dewey of New York. Gee, that sounds kind of interesting. kind of common. Realistically, there might be a commonality here with Donald Trump, possibly. Okay. Anyway, moving on. All the pollsters predicted a win for Republican Dewey. Professional gamblers gave odds of 15-1 against Democrat Truman. Reporters were writing stories about the upcoming Dewey administration. Truman was about the only one who believed he could win. In September of 1948, he left Washington, D.C. aboard a railroad car named the Ferdinand Magellan for a whistle-stop campaign across America. In speech after speech, town after town, he told people why they should re-elect him, while the crowd shouted back, "Give 'em hell, Harry." The Ferdinand Magellan traveled nearly 22,000 miles in all. As historian David McCullough points out, never before had a president gone so far to take his case to the people. 3 weeks before the election, Newsweek magazine published a survey of 50 political writers. Every single one thought Truman would lose. On election night, November 2nd, 1948, Truman went to bed at 9 o'clock. He woke up around midnight, turned on the radio, and heard a commentator assure the nation that Dewey would win. Truman clicked him off and went back to sleep. About 4 o'clock the next morning, an aide woke the president to tell him he was ahead by 2 million votes. "We've got him beat," Truman said. It was the biggest political upset in the nation's history. All the professional pundits were left scratching their heads. The voters had gone to the polls, elected the man who refused to quit, and reminded the experts that in this magical place called America, it's still the people who get to choose. That's right. And that is on this day in American history. Well, instead of giving him hell, Harry, how about give him hell, Donald Trump? We got to get him in. If you haven't voted yet and you are able to vote early, why haven't you voted early? Really, I checked my ballots of my family and every one of us has been accepted. Meaning our signatures have been verified and everything is accepted. So, yeah, we're coming down to the wire, folks. Coming down to the wire. This is incredible, and I think it's something that we definitely, again, if you haven't voted and you have the opportunity to, head on off to vote. I've been trying to push people to vote. This is the most existential, I guess, is the best way to term it, but this is the most important vote of my lifetime for absolute certain. So all of my votes, all of my family's votes have been picked up and taken, so there you go. And we all know how I am going to vote. Anyway, so Kamala Harris, the woman just cannot, she's beside herself. She just cannot get out of her own way. Okay. She obviously cannot get out of the way. And, she apparently made an appearance on MSNBC News with a reporter. Let's just say she gave very, very normal, typical, usual Kamala Harris answers. This in Town Hall. Let me bring this up so you guys can see it. So here in Town Hall, here's the interview. Oh my gosh. This is the first question.
Day one, what's your first executive action?
Well, my first priority, which will be probably the package of bills, is about bringing down the cost of living. So it's about housing. It's about childcare. It's about what we need to do to deal with grocery prices. So it's not one, it's a package that is with one singular purpose, bringing down the cost of living.
Okay, so she was asked, what's your first executive action? Not what is your first thing that you're planning on doing, yeah, anyway. She just can't, this woman just cannot be, she is completely lost. She is completely lost. the biggest question that everybody has to ask themselves by this is essentially, she's been in the White House for almost 4 years. Why hasn't she done it yet? If she's that much of a, oh man, Mama Five Kitties, you and I must be like, woo, connected. Yeah, this is why, because just so everybody understands. Well, where'd my cursor go? There it is. This is why. as I was speaking it, she typed it and set it right into the thing. Anyway. But anyway, yeah, so here's another question. God, she's just horrible at this. Absolutely horrible at this.
Former First Lady Michelle Obama says she stays up at night wondering why this election is so close. Do you do that? What keeps you up at night?
What keeps me up at night are the challenges that face the American family and my role and responsibility in my to-do list to address those issues.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Again, lady, you've had 3.5 years. You could have said and told Joe Biden, hey, look, we're on the wrong track. Yeah, no, you never did. You never did. Not only that, but you were asked by the ladies on The View if you would do anything different. And she couldn't think of one thing that she would do differently. So if she's interested in protecting the American people and giving them their, what was she saying? You know, an economy, a opportunity economy. What the hell? Why haven't she done that yet? Why hasn't she done that yet? Well, okay. So here is the inability to go off script, according to the piece here from Town Hall. But here's the inability to go off script. You remember that comment that Joe Biden made about garbage, about Trump supporters being garbage? Well, here, I've got a little bit of something a little further on in the program about that, but let's just take a listen to what Kamala Harris has to say with regards to
Former President Trump also rode around in a garbage truck to call attention to President Biden's comments about his supporters and their rhetoric. Are you concerned that President Biden's comments might undermine your own messaging that you want to be a president for all Americans?
Well, I've addressed how I feel about those comments. One, that the president explained what he meant. But two, I do not believe, and I will speak for myself, that we should ever criticize people based on who they vote for.
Yeah. So in other words, she's not going to denounce it. She's not going to denounce it at all. Yeah. Joan Lewis Adams over on Facebook, she says, and she called some of us stupid. Actually, she called 18 to 24-year-olds stupid. Multiple times. So, yeah. Oh, God. Yeah. She is just bad at interviewing. All right. So here's another clip. Let's just take a listen. I've got nothing on this one. I don't know what this is, but here.
As he and his supporters grab onto that language, though, from President Biden, you're not at all concerned that might undermine your messaging?
I am very clear that in this election, what the American people want most is to know that I have a plan, that we have a plan to bring down the cost of living and invest in American families, invest in small businesses, invest in our economy. I am proud that I have the support of leading economists in our nation who recognize that I actually have a specific plan and that it will strengthen America's economy. He has very little of a plan besides giving tax breaks to the richest people, and his plan, whatever it may be, will actually weaken our economy.
Okay, couple of things. First of all, have you noticed that she still hasn't answered the question with regards to the frickin' garbage comment? Oh my gosh, but she doesn't have a plan, and what little of a plan that she actually has been evaluated by economists, and half of them that she touts, that she claims that she is like, I have economists from this place and that place. Yeah, no, you don't. Because even those places that you named, that you said that your economy is better than Trump's, actually said that Trump's plan is better than yours, that yours is going to lower GDP and actually kill jobs over 10 years, what little of it you have put out there. So, yeah, anyway. Oh my gosh. Well, so here we go. Here is Kamala Harris. This is actually a little bit closer to her actual thought process and her heart in this clip. So this is probably closer to the real Kamala Harris, folks.
Will you explicitly call him a fascist tonight?
I think what's most important is recognizing that his approach is not in the best interest of America's prosperity or security.
Will you say that this evening? That he's a fascist?
I have said what I have to say, which is he is dangerous and unfit and increasingly unstable and unhinged, and the American people deserve better.
Yeah, except, sweetheart, he's not dangerous. He's not unhinged. And you're right, the American people do deserve better than you, because you've been in office for 3.5 years. Plus. Ugh. Anyway. All I got to say is we're heading into the end, folks, and I'll be honest with you. I personally, I'm kind of glad that we're heading into the end. And the reason being why I'm saying that I'm glad that we're heading into the end is not because of the fact that I'm tired of talking about it. I'm tired of getting the freaking text messages on my phone from the Republican Party trying to tell me to not vote for this one senator. And I know, or state senator, I should say, not federal senator, but state senator. Because right now, the guy that's running for the state senate in my area, he is, I've met him before. He's a nice guy. I think that he's a Republican. He's already been in office. He's the incumbent. And the woman that is challenging him is, well, let's just say, lost. So, anyway, I'm just getting a little tired of getting all the text messages because, hey, I've already voted. It's a done deal. I don't need these text messages anymore. I really don't. And I'm not really all that interested to reply back to a text message because, yeah, I'm in IT, and so I understand what happens. So all I do is I just delete them. But anyway, I digress. That was a bit of a train track. Off the rails. All right. Okay, so there's a couple of things. Yeah, I know. Type stop, Tommy says. I get it. I just don't want anybody to have my number for sure. I mean, they already have my number, yes, but it could just be a blanket that's like, sent out there. All right. So there was a election guru. Now, I know a lot of people don't like Nate Silver. Nate Silver's like the 538 guy, I believe. And he's been wrong in the past. He's had some problems in the past. I mean, he's not well liked by Rich Barris. But I got to tell you, this is a little shocking to me. And this is actually another indication that things are not going well for the Kamala Harris campaign. So here in the New York Post, Nate Silver, who's an election guru, accuses pollsters of putting their finger on the scale, lying to keep presidential race close. Wait, what? So apparently he lashed out at some other surveys, in his survey junkies, he calls them, in his field for cheating in the final stretch of the 2024 election, accusing some of them of recycling some results to keep the race between Donald Trump and Kamala Harris close. Now, the 538 founder said responsible pollsters were herding their numbers, herding, herding their numbers, or using past results to affect current ones to keep Vice President Harris and former President Trump within a point or two of each other. Silver said on his podcast, name-checking apparently the Emerson College, he said, I kind of trust pollsters less. They all, every time a pollster says, oh, every state is just +1, every single state is a tie, he says, no, you're effing herding, you're cheating, he fumed. Now, this is weird coming from this guy because, again, he is more of a leftist person, even though he's supposed to be like, let's say, middle of the road because he's supposed to be a pollster? No, he's not. But he continues on and says, your numbers aren't all going to come out at exactly 1 point leads when you're sampling 800 people over dozens of surveys. You're lying. You're putting your effing finger on the scale. Silver's own model puts Trump ahead of Harris, 55 to 45, as voters prepare to head for the polls in just 3 days. So he's calling out that Trump has a good chance to win. Now, keep in mind, again, on this program, we don't necessarily go with the polls. The fact of the matter is, though, is that this guy, who would normally be someone who is for the Democrats, is calling out their trickery. So we need to stop thinking of the polls as being like, oh, this is definitely going to be the case. No, it's not. And I've been questioning how close these things have actually been, because again, keep in mind, I'm telling you that when people place money on it, they're placing more, they've got more skin in the game. And so they're more likely to be honest about it. Okay. And so that's part of the reason why you've seen me use places like polymarket.com. Okay. But his scorn apparently also extended to all these GOP-leaning firms, showing that the former president is narrowly ahead each time to project that they're not going too far out on a limb. He says, if a pollster never publishes any numbers that surprises you, then it has no value. Okay? Silver blasted most other pollsters except for the New York Times, saying that the rest were just, quote, effing punting on this election for the most part. Yeah. So, anyway, but he continues that, but look, all 7 swing states are still polling within, it looks like, 1.5 points here. Okay, whatever. It doesn't take a genius, he continues, to know that if every swing state is a tie, that the overall forecast is a tie. So Trump is currently leading Harris in both the national and swing state averages. The national at 0.3%, swing state averages of 0.9% of recent polls aggregated by Real Clear Politics. Also, what I always look at is Real Clear Polling. Not that, again, I'm not necessarily like falling into the idea that Real Clear polling is actually going to be accurate, because we know they've been wrong. I mean, shoot, I was, a few years old by the time the 2016 election came in, where, Hillary was a complete lock for the win. And here we have, anyway. So obviously this is going to come down to the end of the end of the night. Which, speaking of the end of the night, by the way, I will be broadcasting on election night. I will probably start at my regular time. So that means 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. And I know that's later than some of you would like, but the reason why I'm doing that is because there are others who are also going to start really early. For an example, Dan Bongino is going to be going on. Wendy Bell Radio is going to be going on. She is going to have Sean Parnell, and both Bongino and I think Wendy Bell are hoping to wrangle Rich Barris. Boy, I would hate to be Rich Barris, really, on election night. That is like his Super Bowl. I'm telling you, he is going to be the prized bull in the whole thing. He's the prized bull for the scenario. But I do plan on getting on and probably be on, like I said, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, like normal. And then we'll just see how far it has to go. Okay. And I haven't really worked out exactly what I'm going to do, because unlike those big, huge programs, okay, and even like Mark K is streaming, for an example, unlike those big programs, I don't necessarily have all of these people lined up for interviews and stuff like that. So we may just be bouncing around to some of those other shows and things like that. we'll have to see. I got to work on my elections game. That's for sure. I'm being asked by 3 Chevy, am I going to have a newscast like I did on the debates? Yeah, like I said, we'll probably bounce around on some of those other shows and things of that kind of nature. So, yeah. Anyway, we'll just see. My big time elections game probably isn't all that great in comparison to some of those other shows, but I promise you it'll grow. It'll grow. Okay. So there's some other interesting news out of what would normally be maybe a typical, say, Democrat. Yeah. Let me just say this, okay? Mark Halperin is no friend of Republicans. We know this, okay? But, here's the thing. He's been saying some interesting stuff, at least when he sees things happening. When he sees things happening, he does at least admit to it, all right? He's sort of like, a couple of these leftist comedians have been coming out and talking about stuff. God, I can't think of the guy's name now. But anyway, how they've actually come out and they've been like, hey, yeah, the reality is she stinks. So when you get these people doing these kinds of stuff, you really got to kind of listen to what they're having to say. So here it is in red state. Mark Halperin dropped some damning news on Harris's chances in critical swing states. So obviously everybody is talking about the swing states because, let's just face it, that's the way our country seems to be. Now, just as a side note, I've seen so many people who have been saying we need to eliminate the Electoral College because as of right now, only 6 or 7 states actually decide our elections. And I'll be honest with you, that's the wrong thinking. That is totally the wrong thinking. If you want to solve this issue with the electoral votes always falling down to like 6 or 7 swing states, have all of the states make it a congressional law, which constitutionally it can be done. Make it a law in Congress that every single congressional district will be counted as that district voted, meaning that when the popular vote comes in a congressional district and they get, let's say they vote Republican for the Republican candidate, then that's one electoral college vote for the Republican candidate within what might even be a blue state. See, in my particular opinion, the problem is not so much the electoral voting system that we have in place. It is the fact that we have 48 out of 50 states doing winner take all. That's where I think the problem is. If we were to switch just that one little thing, you would all of a sudden see that the states wouldn't matter anymore. That it wouldn't come down to Pennsylvania. It wouldn't come down to Georgia, North Carolina, Wisconsin, Michigan. And it would make it so that the people who are living in those states, like Republicans living in Washington, Oregon, and California, or New York, or Illinois as examples, that their votes actually do count. And that, my friends, would be a significant improvement over the particular situation that we're in right now. But let me go back to this piece in red state, okay? Kamala Harris and team have been desperate with lies and other things that they have said that has just been wild, insulting women, millions of other Trump supporters, calling Nazis garbage. They even have glommed onto a thing with Liz Cheney that was taking totally, they've taken things out of context before, like the bloodbath comment and things like that. But I'm just telling you right now, folks, the whole Liz Cheney thing is completely taken like 100% out of context. They basically demonstrated anybody that was sitting here saying that the whole Liz Cheney comment was, Donald Trump trying to assassinate Liz Cheney. They need to go back to reading comprehension and listening comprehension courses. Anyway, so I have a little bit of something on that, maybe a little bit. But here we go. So on top of that, they've been getting all kinds of aids, meaning the Kamala Harris campaign. They've been getting all kinds of aid from the mainstream media who seem to have been acting like another arm of the Democrat Party. Gee, you think? Anyway, twisting things that President Donald Trump says into a pretzel to use him against it. And then, of course, they comment about the Liz Cheney thing, which I'll point out in just a minute. So now the Harris team is trying to claim that after Madison Square Garden, that rally that they lied about, call it a Nazi rally. They lied about the fact that God, my rumblers. I'm telling you, my rumblers taking me off track here. 3 Chevy, of course, Mr. Comedian himself. Says, Rick, 9 Barrel sounds like a bourbon name. Oh, yeah. And Mark over on Facebook, hey, well, I'll get to that in just a minute. I'll tell you about it in just a minute. But anyway, I digress back here. They were talking about Madison Square Garden's rally and how it was Nazis and how it was, just the Puerto Rican comment, that was done by a comedian who is known for that kind of stuff. I mean, yeah. Anyway, so now they're claiming, you can see here in this X post, because I got to admit, X is fun. The only reason why X is really, really fun is because of the fact that there's a lot of morons on it. That's why. Anyway, Charlotte Alter posts, senior Harris campaign staff say their internal data shows Harris winning battleground state voters who have made up their minds in the last week by double-digit margins. They say that Trump's MSG rally was the last straw for late-breaking undecided voters. Now, one thing I want to point out to you about these kinds of posts, and believe me, I run across them all the time, there's never any backup data. There's never any information that backs up this stuff. So these are claims. They're just claims. But there's no underlying fact-based data to back all this up. Well, our own Rich Barris, here he is. He pulled it out. He says, did you actually ask for credible evidence to back that claim up? Because very few of this very small group of still undecideds we spoke with mentioned news cycle stories of any stripe as deciding their issue, or as their deciding issue, I should say. He points out that it's inflation, jobs, immigration, abortion, and other. David Marcus kind of echoed that same sentiment right here. He says, maybe they are right, but I haven't seen a shred of evidence for this on the ground. In fact, the exact opposite. So where are they getting these numbers from? Well, you'll recall a couple of episodes ago, Harris doesn't listen to her internal polling, remember? She listens to her heart. That's where the internal polling comes from, is through her heart. Yeah, well, apparently her heart seems to think that she's winning by double digits in undecideds. Oh, God, I'm sorry. Anyway, Mark Halperin, of course, broke that apart. He, basically, oh my gosh. Yeah, Halperin breaks it down, and he basically says that she's unlikely to win Georgia, North Carolina, Arizona. So Trump is up in all 3 states, by the way, right now. But he thinks it's unlikely that they're saying, and he believes that what they're saying or what they're putting out there in terms of false information is because of false information, because of the fact that she's actually struggling in what's known as the Rust Belt. The Rust Belt, for those that don't know, is Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. Now, the only path that she has to victory right now, assuming that everything is running correct, because so keep in mind, Nevada has been showing fantastic numbers for Republicans returning ballots from rural areas in Nevada. Same thing as showing up in Georgia. There are so many rural people that normally don't vote. They're called the low propensity voters that are coming in what appears to be droves, coming in and voting, that there's a possibility we could see some serious numbers coming out. Okay. Now, all of that being said, those and signs are good, by the way, with those early votings over the last couple of weeks. But he also stated that she has to sweep Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin. But according to Mark Halperin, she's in trouble in Wisconsin. So he basically said this. He's like, this is based on 3 sources, 2 Republicans, 1 Democrat, all of whom know the state quite well, and all of whom told me today that they would be somewhere between surprised and shocked if Kamala Harris actually won Wisconsin. So reorient yourself away from the news framing that says it's all about Pennsylvania. She could win Pennsylvania and still lose the election because she doesn't win Wisconsin. Okay. Watch Wisconsin, he says. So, yeah. So if she loses the other swing states, but only holds Michigan and Pennsylvania, that would be 278 to 260. But Trump is ahead in Pennsylvania right now. Okay. So a very likely break might be more of a 297 to 241, and she only gets Michigan. Even that's reportedly a question too. So, yeah. Trouble in Wisconsin, according to Mark Halperin, could spell doom. Well, let's just put it this way, folks, and let's be completely honest, all right? And I want to take a second to, before I talk about this next subject and next topic, I want to just take a second and make sure that you guys understand that Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, whatever day it ends up, where the final tallies and tabulations are put together in terms of who wins the election. Now, keep in mind, okay, legally speaking, Tuesday is not the end. The reality of it is, it isn't until the Electoral College convenes. And the Electoral College convenes in December, not in November. And so it isn't until the Electoral College convenes that our elections are actually over with, because unlike what the Democrat leftist lunatic morons want you to believe, the popular vote has never been a factor in electing the president. Okay, that constitutionally, it is the electoral vote system that does. So all of that being the case, all right, the fact of the matter is that we need to be prepared over craziness. In particular, the TDS. Now, if you think the TDS was bad in 2020, just wait until this one. If he pulls out, when Trump pulls out the win, because right now my gut is telling me that he is going to do this, okay? I'm not saying it's a lock. I'm not saying nobody should be watching, and making sure that they vote. You've got to get everybody else out there, okay? You've got to get people to vote. But there is something completely different about this election than any other elections that I've ever dealt with. And that literally is because we are voting for the future of whether or not America continues to be the republic that it needs to be. But here's the thing. The TDS in these morons that are running around there is extremely wild. Okay? In fact, it's so wild that even the Democrats themselves are telling us that there's going to be violence. Here, in the populist, brace for unrest. Okay? Democrats warn of violence if Donald Trump wins the 2024 election. Various progressive groups are preparing for violence if former President Donald Trump wins one of the world's most closely watched elections. Mark Halperin told Tucker Carlson, I think there'll be some violence. I think there'll be workplace fights. There'll be fights at kids' birthday parties. I think there'll be protests, and those protests will turn violent, he said. The Wall Street Journal has also reported that various leftist groups are bracing for unrest should Trump make a victorious comeback. It's going to be that bad if Trump wins. Groups of progressives across the country have held physical and online meetings and taken other initiatives to prepare for Trump's potential 2024 elections victory, according to the Wall Street Journal. On a recent evening, more than 200 people joined a Zoom meeting titled Mass Training for Women's Safety Teams, hosted by a Women's March veteran who noted its timing amid escalating political violence, the Journal reported. Some even plan to attend women's marches in Washington and other American cities on Saturday, that would have been today, ahead of the scheduled 2024 presidential elections. Now, I haven't heard anything about that, but I haven't really been watching. Others in Boston are filing abortion kits to send women in red states, fearing that Trump could impose a federal ban on abortion. Now, again, keep in mind, he has never once said he wants to do a federal ban. In fact, he's even said he would veto it. And constitutionally, they can't anyway. The Dobbs decision has already ruled on that. Anyway. Aaron Gately, 47, a former anti-Trump protester, says, we feel like we're doing something. People Power United Florida-based progressive activist Lori Woodward Garcia has scheduled post-election seminars to assess the consequences of a Trump presidency should he enact Project 2025. Okay, do you see where these people are going? Do you see where these people are going? They are freaking stupid. Project 2025 is not his agenda. They have drank the Kool-Aid from the Democrat Party, and they have sucked it down. Now, admittedly, Agenda 47 and Project 2025 do have some common points, but that's not it. Project 2025 is not his agenda. It's not what he wants. And they even point that out in the piece, saying that he's already distanced himself from the conservative policy agenda. Democrat activist Melissa Fierro told the Journal, we've looked at different countries. I really think it's going to be that bad if he wins. They're talking like they want to leave. Well, you know what, folks? Guess what? There's the door. There's the door. You need help? I'll help you. I'll throw you out the door. I'll kick you in the butt to make sure you get through the door. If you don't want to live in an America where the Constitution reigns supreme, which it's supposed to, and that the Republic lives on for freedom and prosperity for everyone, not just Democrat elitists, then I'm more than willing to help you leave the country. It's your freedom. It's your prerogative. Go. Get out of here. How many times did Whoopi Goldberg and everybody else that on The View talk about, Donald Trump, when he gets into office, we're just we're just going to go and like, we're going to leave. Yeah. The only Hollywood superstar that I've heard of actually leaving was Tom Hanks. He became a Greek citizen. He bought property over in Greece and became a Greek citizen, probably due to the fact that they don't have an extradition treaty with the U.S. as far as I know. But anyway, I digress. And I'm tired of that whole comment. If you want to leave, just leave. Just go. Quit. I mean, I hear this all the time. Sorry, I'm going to jump on a freaking rant. Here we go. We're off kilter again. We're off the tracks. You guys, how many times have I heard from people and seen on people's posts on X, I can't stand X since Elon took it over. Oh my gosh, I think I'm gonna leave. Well, guess what? Here's the frickin' pity party, and here's your little tiny violin that I'm gonna be playing for you. See? Look at that. Look at that. Tiny violin that I'm playing for you. Get your ass off of X then. Don't sit here and tell me all of these things about, oh, I'm gonna leave. Where the hell are you gonna go that isn't as great, or that is as great as the United States? Where the hell are you gonna go where you're gonna be able to make the money that you make here for doing the stupid shit that you do here? Where are you gonna go? Honestly, believe me, I've looked because I've thought the same. I have thought that if America were to fall completely, where would I go? And I got an answer for you. Nowhere. The one place that I thought I could potentially head off to, has just as many oppressive freaking laws and rules and everything else as anywhere else. America is the greatest country on this planet, folks. She, and yes, I am calling her a she, because that's who she is. America is the greatest country on this planet. If America falls, as Ronald Reagan pointed out, there will be no place for us to go to. We have no place else. America is the one and only place that I would ever want to live. And that's it. Period. Okay, that one, honestly, that one deserved a little bit of a temperature. I got a little hot with that. Anyway. Sorry. I'll be honest with you. I'm kind of glad that I'm using a lot of these things because any one of them could break something. So, anyway. Well, let me tell you, folks, it's not just progressives. Well, it is progressives. Progressives are setting up for progressives to be progressively bad on election night. And let me explain to you why. You would think that in the District of Columbia, essentially one of the deep strongholds of American Democrat leftist lunatics as of right now, you would think that that would probably be one of the safest places that you could potentially be, okay, in this country on election night, right? I mean, you would think that would be probably a pretty safe place. I mean, they have, laws against carrying weapons. That was evidenced in the Capitol Hill situation on January 6th. There weren't any weapons taken. Okay. But realistically, I mean, where else do you think you could go and be relatively safe? Well, apparently it's not in DC. It's not at all. This here in, again, the populous times. DC shops boarding windows, anticipating riots on election night. Yeah. In what has become a regular occurrence, now this is the part that's really sad, is the fact that it's a regular occurrence. I mean, seriously? Come on, people. There's no reason to get violent over this stuff. What the hell has our country and our society come to, where people who literally have no control over any of this stuff have to bear the brunt of a bunch of idiots and droogs running around on a freaking night? You know, this is the same thing. I was having a conversation with Steven Stiles, and he was like, I don't understand it. Your team wins on, you know, like the Super Bowl or something like that. And what do you do to celebrate the championship? You go out and you freaking destroy and riot. What the hell where did we go wrong as a society where we taught people that rioting just because you won, or, you know, even worse, you lost? Okay. Anyway, sorry, that's another off track. But still, it's apparently become a regular occurrence, and stores and shops around DC have begun boarding up their windows in anticipation of riots on election night, which is now less than a week away. It's actually, 2 or 3 days away. Check this out. This is a report, Dempsey reports, from News Nation.
To the weekend, the final weekend before the election, some businesses in our nation's capital are boarding up their windows, boarding up their doors right now, just in case of civil unrest next week. News Nation's Tom Dempsey joining us live from Washington this morning. Tom, are police saying there are any credible threats that they actually have on their radar right now?
Hey, good morning, Marky. D.C. police saying that there are no known credible threats at this point related to election-related violence. But this morning, we're standing only about a block from the White House right now, and you can actually see some of the concerns of the possibility of election-related violence. What you're seeing right now are businesses literally boarded up out of concerns that we might see large-scale protests, maybe even potential riots in relation to the election. And as you can see, these are multiple businesses. That McDonald's just down the street, we go there from time to time to get coffee between live shots here, but it's boarded up right now, like I said, due to concerns that we might see a strong response, potential election-related violence to all this. But again, D.C. police saying there are no known credible threats at this time, but they are taking precautions, and the whole department is going to be deployed next week to keep things safe. News Nation was actually here when we saw firsthand workers boarding up some of these storefronts. Like I said, these are large businesses like a McDonald's here, and small businesses alike taking precaution due to concerns of possible protests or violence related to the election. The chief of D.C. police also recently said that 3,300 officers will be deployed across the district next week, all of them working 12-hour shifts or more. They'll be keeping close watch on business districts like where we are, as well as polling locations, all to ensure safety and smooth voting.
Seriously. I mean, what the hell? Folks. And this is, again, this is Democrats or Democrat-run cities that are boarding up because they anticipate Democrats. Oh, wait a minute. I thought the Republicans were supposed to be the wild ones and the ones that riot and everything else. Yeah, except there's only one problem. Republicans are usually in rural areas, you dumbasses. God, we have gone down so much. When we allow this crap to happen, I mean, that's literally what it is. There's no responsibility or accountability in any of this shit. And so this is why these people, they haven't learned about responsibility and accountability. Oh, yeah, Tommy, damn good call on this one. Tommy Young, what? No National Guard on standby? How interesting. Yeah. Anyway, God, what a bunch of, I mean, seriously, why? Well, I mean, I don't understand this. But that being said, you got to be prepared, folks. You got to be ready. I'm just telling you, any of these morons are so stupid and so TDS oriented that they actually believe that Donald Trump, number one, could actually ban abortion. He can't. Even if it wasn't unconstitutional to do so, it would take Congress to do it. He's not going to just elect himself king. He is not Hitler. He is not going to be totalitarian, but I guarantee you that Kamala Harris definitely would be if she got into office. Hell, Joe Biden has already done dictatorial things. You want to talk about who is the dictator here, who is the wrong person here? It's completely 100% the Democrats. They need to frickin' put up a frickin' mirror and look inside their own souls. Well, I don't think many of them have a soul, so there you go. These people, I'm telling you. Well, whatever. All right, so here we go. Okay, Mark, over on Facebook. Not Mark Wetzel, the other Mark, over on Facebook. Here it comes. All right, here's what happened. So the Trump and Harris campaigns, this particular article is in the Epic Times, but the Trump and Harris campaigns, of course, spar over former President Donald Trump's Liz Cheney remarks. So here's the thing, okay? Donald Trump was sitting down on a one-to-one meeting with, Tucker Carlson. And he made the comment, meaning Donald Trump, made the comment about Liz Cheney being a war hawk. And his comment was basically, and let me see if I can find the exact quote. Here it is. So he was discussing, and this was on Thursday, by the way. So he was discussing the fact that Cheney is a radical war hawk. All right. And here's what he said as a quote. All right. Let's put her with a rifle standing there with 9 barrels shooting at her, and let's see how she feels about it. You know, when the guns are trained on her face, you know, they are all war hawks when they are sitting in Washington in a nice building. Now, here's the thing. All right. He's not that wrong. You got to understand, Donald Trump is against war. He's not against violence, but he is against, sorry, I misspoke. He's not against using the military when it is pertinent. All right. And essentially what he is trying to say here, which again, he is not, I've told you this 1,000 times. I'll say it 1,000 more times. Donald Trump is not an eloquent speaker. Okay. He says things and he expects people to understand what it is that he's saying. Okay. And this is what he is saying here, is essentially that Liz Cheney, people like Liz Cheney, who are war hawks, they are excited. They get in, anyone that's a part of the military industrial complex gets excited when America gets into war because it makes them money. They don't actually think about the individual soldiers that are going off to war very often. And all he is suggesting here is that Liz Cheney potentially wouldn't be as much of a war hawk if she actually picked up a weapon and stood a post. Like the character that Jack Nicholson played in A Few Good Men. Because these people, and this is one of the reasons why I get a little frustrated about politicians sticking their freaking noses in when it comes to war. As far as my concern of that is, once the politicians decide that, hey, we're going to go to war with these people, whatever, whoever it is, then they should just look at their generals and say, go win. And that's it. We'll give you all the money. We'll give you everything you need. Go win. And that is the end. It's a clean handoff to the generals. The generals go and admirals and all of that. They take off. They take off and go do what it is that they do. And they come back and they say, hey, we won. That's the way it should work. See, the problem with Vietnam, the problem with Korea, the problem with any of the wars that we have gotten involved in since has been straight up the politicians trying to put unrealistic rules of engagement on our military. The military exists for one reason and one reason only, and that is to be the fiercest fighting force ever in the history of the world. They are to go out and annihilate the enemy. That's it. That's it. That's all they should do. And politicians sitting back here and thinking that, oh, we can tie the military's hands. No, you don't tie the military's hands. Honestly, and I just thought of this, it's no different than having an attack dog. Would you have an attack dog for your defense? Would you let him off leash with a muzzle on him? No. Which is exactly what politicians try to do to our armed forces. They provide rules of engagement that are difficult at best to win the war or win the engagements, win the battles. This is why I don't think that those people, meaning politicians, need to be in charge of anything. Congress, which is constitutionally the only body that can declare war, looks at the president. The president comes to Congress, says, hey, I want to declare war on these people. Congress says, yep, thumbs up. Okay, we're good. There's the break. They look at the president, go in. The president turns around, looks at his generals, go in. That's it. There's your chain of command. But they think way too much about political fallouts and everything else. And trust me, war is horrible. I don't wish war on anybody. Yeah, like Becky points out on Facebook, it's exactly like that. Oh, you can't go into Rafah. No, you can't go into Rafah. That's where all the terrorists, in terms of Israel, that's where all the terrorists live. But you can't go in there. Really? Really? I mean, anyway. So that's what the whole thing about Liz Cheney is all about. Now, the leftist, the leftist and the Kamala Harris campaign are all saying that Trump is saying that he wants an assassination attempt on Liz Cheney. Liz Cheney, the moron herself, posted it on X. Oh, he wants to kill me. I read you his exact words. He's not telling you that he wants to kill you. He's not saying that he wants you to die. What he is telling you is that maybe you should get off your lazy ass, pick up a weapon and stand a post if you're going to be sending these people into combat. That's what he's saying. Anyway, these people are going to get more stupid the closer we get to the election and even past it, provided there is no winner announced immediately. Okay? That's it. All right. Well, speaking of remarks, apparently Biden's remarks about Trump voters being garbage, yeah, that didn't work out so well. That didn't work out so well. Let me explain. Here in Town Hall, Biden's Trump voters are garbage remarks led to scores of campaign calls being canceled. Yeah, anyway, it's a public relations disaster, they say, and one that reconfirmed Democrats as snobby and condescending. Exactly, you think? Anyway, right now it's essentially led to Biden being canceled by the Democrats. He was slated to be on a few campaign calls, and those all got nixed. Apparently, he's not only said it once, but he's also said it a couple more times. Because he said it during a Kamala D.C. rally last week. Yeah. Anyway, the damage control, apparently, according to the article, has been laughable and ineffective. The garbage remarks were in response to an insult comedian who made a joke about Puerto Rico at Trump's Madison Square Garden rally. It wasn't funny, didn't elicit many laughs, and Tony Hinchcliffe, who made the joke, isn't as powerful as Joe Biden. Well, he's not as prevalent either. Most people didn't even know who the hell he was. Anyway. So yeah. It didn't go very well for them. So one of them, a CNN panelist, oh my God, this is so ridiculous. A CNN panelist apparently said that Biden called half the country garbage because he has a stutter. Really? The man has a stutter? What the hell? Guy's name is Franklin Leonard. He says Biden's not the most fluid speaker. He had a stutter growing up. Guess what, folks? I had a stutter growing up. You could ask any of my family that knew me back then. I had a stutter. Does it sound like I have a stutter now? No, I grew out of it. Oh, these people, I swear, they're just so dumb. Yeah, they're still freaking out about the comedian. But anyway, and apparently, according to Woke Spy, they are claiming the Republicans emerged victorious from Garbagegate. Well, why? Because Donald Trump, one of the best damn trolling folks I have ever seen in my entire life, I'm telling you. Sorry about that. Excuse me. Him showing up in that garbage truck was just freaking fantastic. Oh my gosh. Yeah, him showing up. Yeah, the piece here in Woke Spy. Republicans endured a tumultuous Monday as a result of the joke. Many kept quiet when questioned, with several in areas of Latino populations distancing themselves from the quip. Yeah. By Tuesday, though, things had changed. As Harris symbolically spoke outside of the White House in her, quote, final pitch, the attention of the nation was focused on what was going inside the president's residence, as footage emerged of Joe Biden criticizing half the nation. His quote was, "The only garbage I see floating out there is Trump supporters." Biden told the Latinos voters group. Okay, look, as I said before, all right, Puerto Rico has a legit garbage problem. It's not funny. And that's why that jackass comedian never should have even said anything about it. But they have a legit garbage problem. They are in places, and you can look this up. Look it up online. Okay? They are in specific spot where currents carry trash from other Caribbean islands to their shores. And they themselves even say it. Half the people on freaking Puerto Rico websites that talk about the beaches, they all say the same thing. They're like, hey, you know, the beaches aren't as clean as what I expected. It's not an idyllic setting in some cases. It's, I'm sorry, you can't refute facts. But Trump, being the master troller, notice I didn't say master baiter or master debater, and yes, I put a specific space in there just on the safe side. But Trump seized on the opportunity attending his Greenby, Wisconsin rally in a garbage truck. Now, oh, these jackasses. I saw a couple people on the socials where they were saying, oh, well, Trump doesn't have a CDL license. Really? He wasn't driving the frickin' truck. And not only that, but it appeared to be on an airport, which wouldn't necessarily require, supposedly, if the airport gave permission, it wouldn't have necessarily required a CDL license anyway. I mean, come on, folks. Oh, Trump donned the folks, this is what it looked like, I'm just going to say.
Hello, everybody. This is Donald Trump, and 250 million people are not garbage.
I'm going to make a speech. We're going to then try and beat the weather out because we have some bad weather coming in. But I just wanted to let you know that 250 million people, that's what I think the real number is for making America great again. 250 million, the real number. They don't think in terms of garbage, okay? They don't use terms like that. And it's a shame. And Joe Biden should be ashamed of himself if he knows what he's even doing. And she should be ashamed because she shouldn't let him do it. She's the vice president, but I assume she's acting as the president. She should never have let that happen.
He's not wrong. By the way, You can clearly see in that clip, he's on the passenger side of the vehicle, and there was a driver that you can clearly see. The driver has posted photos of him and Trump, selfies taken. It's like, come on, folks. I mean, talk about grasping at straws. You're just grasping because you know that you're losing. You're failing at all of this. Golly. It just... some people like Paul, oh God, I can't even, Sapula, S-Z-Y Pula, pointed out, only Trump could pull this off. We'll never know another character or talent like him. This is legendary. Well, I can guarantee you that no other politician has ever been like Donald Trump, because most of our other politicians have never had to stoop, rightly or wrongly, to stuff like this. Oh, he is a man of the people, I'm telling you. One bad dude said, how can you not love this man? Look, folks, Donald Trump, I mean, there's no way that our politics are ever going to go back to what they used to be after Donald Trump. I saw this montage, by the way, which I think is just fantastic. These are photos of the campaign right here. You have, for those on the audio portion of the program, you've got Donald Trump walking into, I think it's walking into a McDonald's, but it looks like. Then you have, of course, the fight, fight, fight picture with the fist up. Then you have RFK Jr., who was a long-time, lifelong Democrat, shaking hands with Donald Trump and coming aboard Trump's team. Then you also have Elon Musk, who, by the way, is a good troller on his own. He, you know, the left accused him of that whole bouncing routine that he did at the Pennsylvania return rally after the assassination attempt, the go back to Butler. People were saying, oh, he's weird for bouncing all over. He was doing that as a mockery of Tim Walz, just so you know. And then, of course, there's the whole thing with Donald Trump going to a McDonald's because Kamala Harris claimed to have worked at a McDonald's. And then you add to that the garbage truck. Oh, my gosh. You know, one of my staunch Whiskey Warrior P1 supporters is a big fan of WWE. Now, I should feel insulted by this, but he puts WWE ahead of me. I don't know why. I'm kidding. But this is, to me, is stunts that like the WWE would do. It just is. I mean, I gotta laugh. I gotta laugh at this. By the way, too, and I've got called out on this on the stream here, on the stream chat, that Mark points out, Vivek Ramaswamy also did a garbage truck video as well. And here is that video. Oops. Why did it take me here? But anyway, here is that video. There he is, Vivek, on the back of the truck of Select Sanitation Service. He's riding up on the back of the truck.
Hey. USA! You are the man. Ready to take out the garbage. Good to see you guys. Love you, brother. We took out some trash today. Good to see you. We took out some real trash. Good to see you, man. How are you? Very good, very good. Good to see you. How are you? Good to see you. You big trash! Thank you. Yeah, we had some fun with this today.
Oh, wow. So, so there's Vivek capitalizing on that. You know, probably what would be a really good finish to all of this is oh, this is going to sound really bad. But if Trump could go in the White House, when he gets into the White House, and come out carrying bags of trash of stuff that's labeled like Joe Biden's whatever, Joe Biden's garbage or something along those lines when he gets into the White House. Talk about a press conference there. Holy crap. That would just be, that would be the amazing, amazing amount of trolling. I'm telling you. And I'm sure there's somebody somewhere. I can't be the only one to have thought of it. I'm sure there's somebody somewhere that would have, oh, I would just, that would. Oh, okay. All right. Oh, anyway. All right. So, yeah, 3 Chevy. Rick, that's a great idea. Well, somebody who knows Donald Trump maybe ought to take that idea and send it up, Yeah, Joe Biden's property, something. I mean, he should walk out carrying something that says Joe Biden's, whatever, and taking out the trash. That should be a complete photo op when he joins. That should be, you know what? Oh, here we go. I just thought of this. That should be what he does on January 20th at noon. And then he should give his speech right there. Okay, that's what he should do. Oh my gosh, he'd be like, we're taking out the trash. We're taking out the trash. Oh my gosh. All right. Okay, look, I gotta get back to the show. Oh, anyway, sometimes you just gotta make your own entertainment. All right. Well, here's some bad news, and this isn't really of any kind of a surprise, honestly. This shouldn't be any kind of a surprise to anybody, because Joe Biden doesn't fire anybody. But apparently, according to Front Page, after that disastrous report that came out regarding the Butler County, Pennsylvania assassination attempt, Secret Service is not going to fire anybody. Gee, that really doesn't surprise me any, honestly. Yeah. All individuals, this is the quote, all individuals found in violation of policies will be held accountable. Sure they will. So, yeah, they're not going to, I mean, hello, an arm of government. I mean, seriously, how many times in the last 3+ years, almost 4 years, have we seen a division or a department of government that has failed at its mission and gotten nothing? No reprimands, no nothing. Seriously? There's no really surprise. So the Secret Service said yesterday it had carried out multiple reforms since the July 13th assassination attempt on former President Donald Trump at a campaign rally in Butler, Pennsylvania, and signaled that the agency has not dismissed any agents for the security failures that day, according to a copy of the final internal report to be sent to Congress and other agencies. There'll be accountability, the Secret Service promises, without actually delivering any accountability. Yeah. I'm going to tell you right now, I think the two best possible picks for cabinet members, just in my own opinion. One, in terms of the Secret Service, Dan Bongino. Put Dan Bongino in and part of the Secret Service, because he's got the idea of how to reform the Secret Service and get rid of the riffraff. The second one that I think would be a great addition to the cabinet would be Sean Parnell. Sean Parnell for something along the lines of Secretary of the Army, I think would be a fantastic addition of that. For that. All right. So in the final minutes, I do not have a question of the week this week. I forgot to let everybody know that I was missing one. So if you would like to get your question of the week answered for next week, you've got a prime opportunity. You'll be first one up. You'll be the person on top. So that being said, if you want to get a question of the week put in for next week, all you have to do is send it off to fans, F-A-N-S, at AmericanPerspective.online. That's fans at AmericanPerspective.online. But that being said, now for our final comment of the evening, apparently, according to Fox News, House GOP leaders rip Act Blue after Dem fundraising giant is hit with a subpoena. Republican Representative Brian Steele STEIL, argues Act Blue is vulnerable to fraudulent and illegal foreign donations. They also said that Act Blue is tipping the scales. So that being said, I hope they do. I'm telling you, for this election cycle, I'd like to see President, Senate, and House all in Republicans' hands. And then for the next 2 years, they just go to town on all of these reforms. They get behind Donald Trump. They get a whole bunch of reforms done, not only in the executive branch with all of the 3- and 4-letter agencies, but also all of these other things like passing the SAVE Act, like passing, and that's for the voters, passing what I was saying, getting rid of the winner-take-all concept in the electoral voting system. Several other things that are probably on their plate in terms of, locking down the border, in terms of all these other things that are constitutional, of course, because I am a strict constitutionalist. But beyond that, I really would like to see them go to town for the next 2 years. And Mark, with the final question of the evening on Facebook, says, will Mitch be out? He is supposed to be leaving. He has said that he is not going to be the leader anymore. He doesn't want it, which makes sense because I'm sure his health is causing him some concerns. All right, folks, we have just 2 days left. I'm off tomorrow. Sunday is not a day that I transmit, but Monday I will be back 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern time right here on American Perspective. And I'll be on for election night. We'll be sitting together going through a lot of the things. We will either be elated or we will not be elated. But either way, I just got to say, we'll be together. And that's the key. Do me a favor, if you haven't already, head on over to rumble.com, get yourself an account. It is free to sign up. Once you are signed up and signed in, make sure that you search up the American Perspective channel and hit that green follow button to be notified every time that I go live. Also, don't forget to hit those thumbs up buttons and those like buttons all across every single one of my outlets, whether it's Facebook, X, formerly known as Twitter, YouTube, as well as Rumble. Like I said, we'll see you on Monday. Have a great rest of your weekend and chin up. We have some positive signs out there. It's going to be a good one. We'll see you on Monday. Good night, everybody.
The previous broadcast was produced and is owned by Active Eye Media LLC. All rights reserved.